Today we're going to show you a few different techniques to help improve your product B-roll lighting. This video was inspired by seeing how some of our favorite YouTube creators have been using our Westcott Flex mats in their workflows. Filmmakers have been using the Flex mats because of their lightweight design, versatility, and overall color accuracy. We've seen YouTubers use them for unboxing videos, tech reviews, creating studio-style lighting in small spaces, or even lighting full studios. One of the biggest advantages of the Flex mat is being able to fit it into spaces where normal lights won't fit, but you can still use it as a normal light in standard fixtures as well. We do want to say thank you to the different creators that allowed us to showcase their work in this video, and we will link their full videos in the description box below. Before we start breaking down some of the lighting choices and gear we used, we just wanted to give you a few different kind of tips and tricks on things to do before you start shooting and kind of while you're setting up. It might seem pretty basic, but just something as simple as cleaning off the products, anything shiny that's gonna be reflective, that could have fingerprints on it, dust, just anything that can distract away from the product itself or your video. This is especially important if you're shooting commercials. If you're working with a brand, they don't want to see their product looking dirty, they don't want to see fingerprints or smudges all over it. Make sure the environment that you're shooting in is also clean as well. The next thing to think about is your lighting placement. So is the light motivated? Are you short lighting something? Are you broad lighting something? Are the objects you have set up, are they gonna cast shadows on each other? So just keep those things in mind as you're setting up the lights. Obviously when you turn those on, that's the best time to kind of see how the lights are interacting. The next thing to think about as you're setting up your lighting equipment are the objects themselves, the placement of them. Are they shiny objects that are gonna cause reflections? Where's your camera at? So think about that as well, especially if you have things like screens of, like phones, tablets, or laptops where you're shooting into them. For example, in this shoot today, we did have a glossier phone case and we just angled our camera away so we weren't reflecting directly into it. Another thing I'd recommend is shooting with a monitor. It lets you really fine-tune those details that you see in the frame, and a lot of built-in camera screens really don't give you a large field of view like that, so definitely something I would recommend. All right, so let's jump in and see the two different shots that we ended up doing. For the first shot is our hero shot. First thing, we have a china cube overhead. We wanted the light to be very soft. We blocked off all four edges to keep the light off the walls. So if we took those blocks off, the background, kind of like the one you see here, would just kind of get more washed out. The colors wouldn't look as rich. So we left those blocks on there on all four edges so we were able to control that light and just point it downward. We dialed it to 4500K. That way it was a little bit warmer than the color temperature in our camera. For that edge light, we used a 1x1 RGBW mat, and we used that with a hard diffusion panel, and we feathered that forward so we wouldn't spill on the background. And then for that backlight, we used another 1x1 RGBW mat with a hard diffusion panel. We added a grid to that 1x1 mat, so it gave us a little bit of a shadow gradient, kind of like what we have back here. More of a creative choice. I mean, there's not a right or wrong answer for that. We just wanted it to look a little more shadowy versus just filling the whole wall blue. And for the two colors, we did use the Luminaire app to select those. That allowed us to get in there and see the exact colors we wanted in our monitor, so we knew what they were gonna look like when the eventual product came out. As we moved to the next setup, we used Westcott's quick release clamp. These are really nice because you can clamp them to different areas on any object. For example, on this, we had one clamped to the back holding our accent light back there. We can pull it off and then now put it up onto the table and use it for our next setup. For the next setup, we have this overhead shot. We added a 2x2 bicolor flex mat in the back. This one was dialed to 2800K, and we actually just attached it to the wall using the flex magnets and gaffing the magnets right to the wall. And especially with such a tight space, it's hard to fit a light stand back there when we want to push it through the scrim. The 4x4 scrim had the 1 1/4 stop diffusion on it, which allowed for really soft light coming through there. You can kind of see the difference between having the scrim and not having the scrim right here. And then we added the two 1x1 RGB mats. As you can see by themselves, the two 1x1 mats can cause more unflattering shadows on the objects, especially with the headphones. You can see how there's a bigger shadow there where you'd obviously want to have diffusion, raise the lights up, where with these, we just wanted to hit the edges of the object, so it really complemented that 2x2 mat in there pretty well. The last thing we added in was just a white piece of foam core. We added that to the opposite side of the table and that helped fill in those shadows that were being cast from the 2x2 mat. And this again is just another creative choice that you can make. Whether you want to have more dramatic shadows, you can pull that kind of in and out, make the shadows, more apparent, or fill those in more. Personally, we didn't want to make it as dramatic as the opening scene, so we pushed that right up against the edge of the table, and that really just filled in those shadows and allowed the blue to come in to add that contrast in there instead of using heavier shadows to do that. Another thing that we also did in this video that helped kind of tie it together was the movement. So in that first shot, we used a slider. In the second shot, we used a gimbal going over the table. Both of those, added together, really, you felt the movement when you transition between the scenes. If there's some techniques that you use for creating videos like this, let us know in the comments below some tips and tricks you have. And if you did enjoy this video, please subscribe for more content on filmmaking and photography. Thanks for watching.